or not. Gonna try something new. Got a camera person. Hopefully. Welcome to Shar's Craft Haven. This is my third stream on the Co2. I'm going to be installing the Autofeed. This is a beta. I know they're going to be doing some updates to this. This is also a pre-production machine. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to the point where I actually do it tonight. It shouldn't take a long time to install. It shouldn't take a long time to install, but I'm not sure how much time we're going to have. What?
Your face is cut off. They can just see your mouth.
Okay. Well, you had me face it down. Do you want me to change that?
Sure. Or if you back up so that you're next to the machine, then you
Alright.
can be in view.
We better? Excellent. Alright, anybody able to hear us?
I don't see anybody here.
Chris, say hello. Is there a thing to share? And then you can copy the link. I probably need to do that.
Okay. Why don't you do that? I'm Mrs. Shar. And I am going to be running the behind the scenes. See if anybody's joined us. Absolutely no one. Alright, well. It's still showing it as private, and I don't understand why. Visibility. Public, there we go. Alright. Let's see if that helps.
somebody's joined. Yay. Alright,
We're working through some technical difficulties with YouTube.
there we go. We got a couple of people. That's just life, Jim. Alright. Yay! Sorry about that. I did a live stream earlier and apparently messed up the settings somehow. Alright, so now that everybody's joined, welcome. First off, I'm Shar, aka John, Shar's Craft Haven. This is a pre-production P2, one of only a couple that are out there in the wild, and this is also a pre-production Autofeed. I know there's some upgrades that are going to happen before people get them. So if you look at this and say this isn't exactly what you have in the future, you're welcome. It's better. And that's what beta testing is for, is to make things better. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is I'm going to be installing this. So showing how the Autofeed attaches, putting the rails in. We'll see how long that takes. It shouldn't take a long time, depending on how much time is left. I have Mrs. Shar, so she can handle chat and handle that end of things. When you operate a laser, it's really important that all your focus is on that, especially with the Autofeed. You want to make sure that you are fully focused and ready to hit the stop button or the emergency stop if needed. So for safety, I have a backup camera person. We're in charge of the camera person. All right, so first off, the components. So this is the moving piece. So I don't know if you can all see this. It's got grippy wheels that are super grippy, and then it's got wheels on the top that pressure down. There's actually a gauge as you do that that shows how much pressure is on there. It starts at green, then it goes to yellow, then it goes to red. You operate that with this little wheel here. So this little wheel will go down. It even says rise and lower, depending on if you're doing counterclockwise or clockwise. And then here is a little manual feed for the auto feed, so you can make sure that there's traction, that it's moving properly before you start it. The other piece of that is here is the connection, and then there's a silver bar here. This is used when you're doing light light fabric and things like that. Another bar will go across on top of this. This is also what you're looking at in the software to know that your design is below that point, so that it lasers on here. And that's something that I messed up when I first experimented with this. I sort of assumed that I'd be using the whole laser bed, but really you're going to be focused on all your lasering happening on this area. Feel free to chime in with questions. Mrs. Shar will let me know what those are.
So Jim Castro says, I had seen someone with a beta P2 that the camera couldn't see the full workable area, not the closer camera. Any idea if that was addressed?
I don't know if that was addressed. I know that mine wobbled a little bit, so I'm missing a little bit of the workable area. But I don't know for sure if that's been updated in the full production. Most of what you're going to be doing is aligning things with the close-up camera. Rough alignment you can do with the bed camera. I honestly haven't been impressed with the quality of the bed camera, but it's really there for macro, and then the close-up camera, you can click on the edges and get things aligned much more accurately. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. So the other part of that is these rails They come in multiple pieces. There's a little foot that comes separately. You have a little thumb screw, or not a thumb screw. You have a little screw that you loosen here, you slide it on, and then you tighten that back down. And then you have a thumb screw here where you loosen it, and then you put it in the track. I have each of mine set to be like 2.5 rollers. You could put it where it makes sense to you. This just seemed to work with my setup here, so that it's across the gap, and on the back side you'll see that it's within the machine and not hitting the back door, so to speak. All right, so what came with the Autofeed are these 4 longer rails, so you can see that there's a difference. Again, this is pre-production, so they might be different. Each of these 4 is exactly the same. They're gonna attach to the front and the back of this piece. There aren't other questions. I'm gonna go to the beginning of setup. Again, to use the Autofeed, you need to have the riser base. It's going to elevate it. This is going to attach underneath. But to use the Autofeed, you definitely need the riser base already put together and installed. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right.
Can we lower the camera angle just a bit, pretty please?
How's that?
That's good.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, why I didn't last time want to do Autofeed stuff is getting this sort of situated took a bit of doing. So, all right. Do you want to attempt the close-up cam?
Yep. Got it ready?
All right, so there's longer screws, which we're going to be using 4 of those, and then a hex wrench, and then the manual tells you where to place this, but I have it on 2A, and it's I don't know, 4 or 5 inches out. And that's what this is going to rest on while we start installing it. You wanting me to do that? Or can you got it?
I was doing fine. I can.
Okay, they're going to need to see you from the top.
Okay. Let's see. Right there?
In the
Is that
machine.
Close enough?
There we go. All right. So this slides in. Again, it's supported right now by that tray. Can you see the cord?
Yes.
I don't. And you can see where the little bracket is?
Where the bracket is where?
Back here.
Yes.
Okay. So this is something you install. It's a little sticky bracket. It's to wind the cord and keep it out of the way. So one of them is one way and the other is the opposite. And then this has got 4 holes for 4 pins. So you connect that in. And then you screw it down to tighten. All right. So then up here, I don't know if you can see up here, there are 2 holes on each side. There's a deeper hole and a more shallow hole. I found that the shallow hole is easier to start than the deeper one. You don't want to screw one down all the way, because then it'll be a challenge to start the other side. So you just want to get a little thread, and you can feel when it starts to pull, and then start the deeper one. And again, the deeper one is a bit more of a challenge to get lined up. And then again, you can feel as it starts to pull. This really should be a two-person job. Once you get them,
Your second person is running the camera
yeah,
instead?
my third person. Because if somebody just pulls up on this and makes it so this is tight, then if it's flush against this rail, it becomes a lot easier to get it going. Sorry for the noise. And I'm gonna start the other side. Again, pushing it all the way in. Starting with the shallow. And again, right now, I'm pulling up on it so I can get a lot deeper before heading to the deep one. Can you tell if there's any questions? I know this is riveting television.
No questions that I can see.
All right, so that's about halfway on the shallow one. You don't want to tighten it down all the way because you want to make sure you can move it laterally to line up the deeper one. And you can feel once it engages. So I started about halfway on that side, or a little bit on that side, and then I centered this side. I'm gonna go until I get movement pulling up on the deep one so that I know that it's caught up with the shallow one. I know it's riveting television. On the first side, making sure nothing can trip over the camera. And again, I don't know if you want to go to room.
I've already done that.
All right, holding up on this will give you enough space to get it tightened down. Again, I'm starting with the shallow screw, and this time I'm going all the way down, and then I'll go to the deep.
Jim wants to know how long you've had the P2. He was wondering how long after you got yours they've continued to improve things.
So I got mine February 21st is when the beta arrived. They've been improving software almost weekly. So the software for the Autofeed, the software for the user, the interface for the close-up camera has improved. It's really, I don't want to log all the changes that have happened, but it's really a dialogue. So they do a lot of internal testing, and maybe MonkeyWorks can speak to this as well. And then they do beta testing where we are fresh eyes, we are naive, we don't know what they know, and so we find different types of things. So we make mistakes that they don't make any longer because they know how it's supposed to work. So there's a lot of that. I know that I had issues knowing how to use the Autofeed, and so I had the laser hit things it shouldn't hit, and they're gonna change this, and they're gonna change the software interface so that it's clear to people not to do what I did. So I know multiple things have improved since beta testing. Most of them software side, but I think there's at least, like with the Autofeed, I think there's some things that I think maybe were already being improved, but that testing really underlined the importance of them being improved. You know, being a guinea pig, they learn a lot from people making, you know, logical mistakes, just not having the experience.
You also have they also sent you an early draft of the P2.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, development on the machine's been going on a couple of years. There will be a video that will talk about more in depth my journey. All right. Any other questions before I move on?
Nope.
Okay. So there's a gap on each side of this, which is where these clip in. They are a little like plastic that's almost under tension. There are also drive wheels. So these two outer drive wheels is what I line this up with. Usually my material is 24 inches wide. So I want to make sure that there's grip and support at the edge of my material. So to get these in, you slide one end in, and then it pops in. There are also screws to tighten this down. I haven't used them. I'm sure it'd be safer if I did. I find that it's not moving, but there are little screws to tighten those down. All right, pardon the noise as I move that over. And then the other side is the same way, starting with the edge and then pulling it in. And again, with narrower material, you could change where those are. With the material I most often use, I just line it up with this outside drive wheel. The end of this, these are longer, so I'm gonna put them on the other side. All right, we on room cam. All right, the end of this also has a similar slot. And so this is where extensions would go, like so. The base unit comes with 4 rails, in this case the longer ones, so 2 in front, and then I'll install the back ones. And then there are expansion kits which give you more length, and so those install that simply. And again, there are screws to be able to screw those in. You know, that would be the correct way to do it. Again, you know, I'm not doing a ton of heavy stuff, so I haven't installed them that way. So
Jim wants to know if finding a table of equal height was a challenge. He says he's guessing that's why xTool always has it on the floor. Do the legs have some height adjustment?
So the longer it is, the more important height is. I actually have an adjustable height workbench, so that's my workaround. These tables are the same height. They are very close to the same height. If I had more money, I would probably just get 3 of these, 3 of the adjustable height Husky tables, and then be able to roll one this way, because I think that the width that I'm looking at will be 24, and that's the same width as this table is. It's close enough. There's a little bit of bowing, but not enough that it takes it out of focus and that it jams. So hopefully that answers your question.
And I don't think those legs have any adjustment, height adjustment on them.
No, the legs themselves do not have height adjustment. Again, this is pre-production. I don't believe that it'll be any different, but just in case, gotta keep saying that. All right, you won't be able to see this really unless you want to try and do the close cam inside.
Okay, I can try that. I have the hexy, but
What's that?
I did hexy.
Okay. So in here, on each side, there's the same grooves as were on the opposite side. I found that putting these in sideways is the best way to go. Oh, sorry, I gotta move this out of the way. There we go.
I pulled out the tray.
Yeah, and I'll reinstall it, but I'll install it lower down. All right, so again, you want it sideways to start in the little groove. This is going to be a challenge because I want to avoid the camera. There we go. And then again, I try to keep them in line with the drive wheels, and that's probably as close as I'm gonna get. This is not. Let me try this one. I think I grabbed the wrong one. There we go. All right. Okay, there we go. And then this will be fun. Long distance. There we go. I've never done that this long from the back before. All right. And then if you want to go back to the hexie. Okay, and then just as before, these slide in. Like this. And when you install the Autofeed, it also comes with a zip tie and a little almost like command strip kind of thing, so that you can zip tie your exhaust out of the way. All right. Any other questions on that? One thing that I will say is that the settings that I just did were for 3mm. So for the thinner material, if you're doing thicker material, there's a spacer that you attach to this, and you install this lower down. So you would add a spacer onto this, and then that spacer would connect in with those 4 screws that we did. So this is for thinner material. All right, other questions? Facing the mic, facing the camera. Other questions on the setup? Listening? Anybody have questions?
Nope.
There's a delay of about a minute, so I'll give you guys a chance to catch up. And I'm gonna grab some wood to show you how it looks through the feed.
He's gone behind the magic curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
All right, anybody got questions?
Nope.
Okay. Oops. All right. Okay. So raising it all the way up, which is rotating towards myself. You needing me to do it? Can you see it?
Yep. Yep, I can see.
All right, so raise, and then I'm gonna just put it underneath. I like to use, again, assuming that your wood is flush, is square. Line it up with the Autofeed line, and then lower it down. And then the back of the manual has a little thing. I don't know if you can see this here. It's currently green.
Nope.
If I go lower, you can see it changes to yellow, and now it's red.
Nope. Can't see the color at all.
All right, let me bust out my flashlight. All right, can you see that it's red?
Yes.
Okay, so it's got two lines. In the back, it has a little guide. So for 3mm wood, it wants it to be yellow. For other materials, it wants it to be red. I didn't see any materials that it wanted to be green. And then this allows you to move it. So you can get a sense from moving it like this, whether it's got grip. If it was, I'll raise it up, it's sort of, you can feel it not, it's hard to tell, but you can feel it not really moving the same amount. And then again, you want this to be below that silver bar in the software. So this would be where you'd want to line it up. All right. Other questions about setup?
No questions.
I know it's been about half an hour. Questions will, if there are any questions, they'll come in about a minute. All right. So I'm going to advance this through. Let me lower it down. So I see yellow, there we go.
Monkeyworks wants to know, do the rollers have springs to help auto tension the grip, or is it all manual?
I believe they do have springs. Since it's installed, I can't show you the back. I believe this, let me raise it. I believe this portion here is spring loaded. And then, so I believe it is spring loaded. I don't know for sure, but I believe that the feet have some spring to them, but the tension comes from moving the entire thing, which since I've installed it, you can't really see the mechanism. All right.
Jim wants to know, besides getting dirty, does the crumb tray get marked from the laser?
So the crumb tray, so I have not noticed it getting really marked up. It loses power pretty quickly. It goes out of focus pretty quickly. So when I've done things that have gone through, I've not seen like really bad marking. With this, since it's lasering on this, it does get super dirty, but it cleans up. I'd say 90% of it cleans up. And again, this is pre-production. I know they're going to do some changes to the auto feed materials. Do you want to show the other, switch to Hexi? Mm-hmm. All right. Monkey was wanting to see material come out. So here is what material looks like coming out. I don't know if Monkey Works has any other questions, but he wanted to see what the clearance looked like on the back. I know in the manual it also talks about cleaning these off, which is, I think, really important so that you keep getting grip. A lot of these, you know, I got this from Home Depot. It's got tons of dust on it. So after a long job, you know, cleaning off the rollers would help keep them doing maximum friction. Any other?
What's the max thickness for the conveyor?
Max thickness for the conveyor, I want to say it's around 14 millimeters. Don't quote me on that. I know it says it in the manual. In this configuration, I believe it's 3 to 5 millimeters, and then with the spacers add another, I want to say 5 to 10 millimeters. Because you're further down, you get more clearance on the back of the machine. So I believe it's around 14. Again, with the Autofeed as it is now, if you're going to be cutting, you need to cut in one pass. So that might limit the thickness of your material. If you're wanting to do engraving, you know, you could engrave something that thick. It will physically fit. Again, I think it's around 14. It might be, you know, 10 to 14. The questions as I play with this?
Not yet.
All right. Let's move it back out. So something, so safety-wise, this is just a general rule of thumb. You want to make sure that you are with the machine at all times. I know some people like to get away from their diode lasers, but you really want to be present anytime it's working, especially when it's cutting. You can hit stop if it's like a minor issue, and then there's a kill switch. When I first set this up, I wasn't thinking it through, and the kill switch was on the other side. So I had to completely rotate the entire thing around so that I was on the same side as the switch. It would not be feasible to run around and hit it on the other side. I'm connected wirelessly. The wired is actually on the other side, which is a little bit of a pain. But again, it's got wireless. So you can connect wirelessly, and then you have access to the start, and you have access to the auto shut off. If it's a minor issue, you can press stop and it will automatically unlock the lid so that you can address minor things. Some people are asking in the forums, should I get a fire extinguisher? You want to make sure that you have an extinguisher that is safe for electronics. The brand that I know of is like Hyclone. I'm probably mispronouncing that. It's just a word I've read on the internet. I haven't heard it said in person. But you want something that's not going to ruin your machine. Again, if it's your machine in your house, obviously ruin the machine. But it helps to have the right kind of fire extinguisher. Another thing that's also very helpful is having a fire blanket. It's got a little pouch. You unfurl it, and you can throw it in, smother things. Most of my little issues I've had have been in open flame mode. So when they're when the machine is open, when it's on risers, and so you really need to address it more directly. I know that xTool sells a CO2 canister machine, canister CO2 canister fire extinguisher that's automated. I'm not sure whether it's rated for this being an open mode, or whether you would have to have it closed down in order to work. That would be a good question. But the more safe you can be, planning ahead of time, knowing what you would do in the case of a flare-up, allows you to act and not panic, and get the flames out. I would say most of the little things that I've had happen, as soon as I stop machine, it goes out. So, and I can then unpause it and keep going. But again, those have been sort of rare, and in the cases, it's been my fault, to be honest. I was either using material or settings that I shouldn't have been. So, and I'll own that. It's part of beta testing, is making mistakes so others don't. Any other questions? Has any come in while I've been here chatting?
Heather asked if we had the fire suppression kit that xTool has, and I said no.
Nope. No, we have not. No, we haven't invested in that. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? I know it's been about 45 minutes. I know that I'll be doing a video on the Autofeed. Partially, I'm holding off on that until I get the updated Autofeed, just so there isn't confusion and I'm not telling people niggly little things that have been addressed and fixed, because I don't want people to have confusion. It doesn't look the same, it's different materials or whatnot. So I'm not doing a review on that until I get production. I might do assembly video, that kind of stuff. But as far as demonstrating, doing a video and saying whether I like it or not, final judgment, I want to wait until I have something that's production quality. Out of fairness, but also out of longevity for the video, making a video that is going to be, by the time you get it, it's going to be irrelevant. I don't wish to spend my time that way. We do have a riser assembly video that we're going to be editing and putting together. If you haven't already joined Shar's Craft Lounge Facebook, that's where I get a lot of ideas for what you all want to see. There's also an unofficial P2 group, which I started so people could be free to chat about a variety of things. We stick focused, so we're not speculating there, but I want that to also be a source of good, clear, concise information. And then there's, of course, official groups, the official CO2 group, and the official xTool group, for anything you guys need to address with the company itself, via email as well. As always, like, subscribe, all those things are incredibly helpful. I've got Patreon, which nobody's used, but you might be the first. And affiliate links. So if you're still on the fence, or if you decide to get a P2 or any materials or accessories in the future, just clicking on the affiliate link, xTool gives me a little bit, and it helps carve out time to do stuff like this. So if there's no other questions, are there anything else? All right. Thanks for joining me. Thanks if you're watching this later. Feel free to join the groups I talked about. And as always, have fun lasering.
Oh, have you tried it with light burn?